Hey everyone, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at the series known as Drifters. This is episode 12 review and also the whole thing in general because I have been following the episodes and I've actually been reviewing each episode. But of course, like with my usual last episode review, I don't want to spoil anything too much in case anyone hasn't seen it. And also for the fact that I am going to review mostly the whole show today than just one episode. So episode 12, I'll tell you right now, was probably the strongest episode of Drifters, to be honest. It had a little bit of everything in terms of what I've been wanting from the show, and I wish this would have been the case for the whole damn time, but you get what you get. At least, though, I'll say that it was an enjoyable experience at the end, and I really think that this show had some, interesting moments overall in general because of the kind of nuances they did with the characters and kind of who they threw in at the end. That was kind of the last villain you see to show up, which is interesting in itself. Now, I will also say what's kind of cool is that there is going to definitely be a season 2. So, I mean, if you really enjoyed Drifters, I'm probably going to review it. I'm not sure. It depends on how well this does and also how well, or more so how busy I am with the actual series when it comes out for season 2, because we don't have a confirmed date for it. We just know that it is coming out for season 2. Now, Drifters on a whole, let's talk about that real fast. First, let's start with the story. The whole story, the whole concept behind it has been one of the stronger things, I think, of Drifters, to be honest, besides the animation. One of the coolest things about the show was the whole fact that you had so many historical figures appear in a show together in kind of a weird, nuanced way. But what was so awesome was to see them fight against each other, kind of struggle to know each other because they are from different time periods, which I really thought was cool because you had some people from Rome, you had some people from the Wild West, and then you have, of course, from the Edo period and even before that, which is, I think, was really cool. I love how they did that, and it was one of the stronger points of the whole show. Now, animations also is just on key with that, where the animation for Drifters was really awesome. I mean, when it wasn't doing comedy stuff, which I'll get into in a second, it was always excelling and looking really nice. The animations, the battle animations were all really cool, very stylish in terms of how the characters were drawn. I mean, that's one thing I expected from the creators of Hellsing, because Hellsing Ultimate and Hellsing in general were very good to watch in terms of like visuals, because they just out on you. Like, they have such a weird kind of system of being done, if that makes any sense. It's that you don't see this style done too often in anime, where characters have this almost, I want to say, strong facial expression at times, that they have very weird eye movements that almost feel like they're expressing their character. Like when you see their eyes like do this weird like circular effect, and that's because they're right now crazed in battle. It actually is very interesting. I really do like that. Now, I will say, folks, that my issues come from the kind of same things that I do like about the show, but namely from two main elements. The story, I feel like they could have done more with it, and like I said, I like the story concept. I just don't like the way they've done the story is actually done. I feel that the show takes a lot of hits because it tries too hard to, I think, find a good base of balance between these characters. And then the comedy, which is something that I utterly hate. I think the comedy in this show is unnecessary. It's like shoehorned in a lot of times. It doesn't feel fluid. It just takes away from the experience. Even the last episode has a moment where the battle's happening. It's like they have to remind you that there's comedy in the show, so they throw in a comedy moment. I'm like, why? The battle was so good, and then you have this comedy moment, which wasn't even funny. It was just annoying, and I'm like, oh god, it's the comedy that really kills the show a lot of times. And one of the things I also noticed was that when this show is doing just talking, it really suffers for that, because all this talking and what they talk about is very boring. Even if you are a huge history buff, like I've told people, I really love the history stuff behind this. There's a lot of times where even I'm getting bored by hearing some of the characters, and they really try to explain them sometimes in a way that everyone can understand, but also at the same time they do it in also in nuanced ways where they can't fully explain his exact details because they don't want to do that to spoil the story for them. Because if you, like, for example, Joan of Arc, they explain like no one knew if she was a girl or dude. In Joan of Arc's lore, at least, very few people knew if Joan of Arc was a girl until like a certain part of the story. But even more so, because she was a very tomboy-esque, person in general in terms of history, and even more so how she handled herself and how she was really like that made it so she was kind of mysterious in that sense, And I get that, I understand that, but I feel like the way they explained it was very piss poor in the animation, because they're like trying to explain it that way, but doing it in a very sloppy manner. I think they were trying too hard to make it like, oh, it's ambiguous because that's the concept of it, yeah. But I feel like they could have been a little bit stronger in how they did it. Now, I will say this right now. this show is not horrible by any means. It's not horrible. I enjoyed a lot of things about it. I wasn't a huge fan of the music. That was probably another thing I didn't like too much. I did like the actual battle type music where you saw like I think it was Toya's theme really was really good. I love stuff like that. That was really well done, and the voice acting was very very well done also. But it's that comedy, the kind of story, the way some of the episodes feel, like that there's lack of action or there's lack of just kind of a care to watch makes me review it. If I had to review it between an A through F, I have to give it a solid C. I think this show could have been a lot stronger, and I think that a lot of people share my sentiment in many ways. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't that great either. Anyways, guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this review. As always, if you do like the review, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video, you know the whole nine. I will talk to you later until our paths cross again in the next review. Have a good one. Bye-bye.